It's so interesting how we always seem to blame ourselves. If a good habit doesn't stick, we think, oh, I just don't have enough willpower, or maybe I'm just not born with that kind of talent.
Exactly. But what if all of that is, well, maybe not irrelevant, but just not the main story? What if the real key is simply the world you live in, your environment?
There's this one story that it perfectly captures this whole idea. It's from, the mid-20th century. A man named Laszlo Polgar.
Oh, Polgar, yes. He completely rejected the whole idea of innate talent. He was utterly convinced that it was all about hard work, practice, and the right environment.
He had that mantra, didn't he? Something like, a genius is not born.
But is educated and trained, yeah. And he was so determined to prove it that he basically designed this incredible experiment using his own three daughters, Susan, Sophia, and Judith.
He decided to raise them all as chess prodigies.
He did, and it was a radical plan. I mean, they were homeschooled, which was almost unheard of in Hungary back then. Their entire world was just saturated with chess.
The whole atmosphere of the house was
Yeah.
just filled with chess books, constant competition.
Constant. They played against each other, against adults. He kept these incredibly meticulous records of every single game, every opponent. It was total immersion.
And the results were they were unbelievable.
Stunning. Susan became a grandmaster and a world champion. Sophia, the middle daughter, a world champion in her teens. But Judith was something else.
She was the ultimate proof of his theory. By 12 years old, she was in the top 100 players in the world.
And then at 15 years and 4 months, she became the youngest grandmaster of all time. She actually beat Bobby Fischer's record.
Wow. But the really fascinating part is what the sisters said about it later. You'd expect them to say it was grueling, right? All that pressure.
Mm-hmm. But they didn't. They described their childhood as entertaining, even attractive. They loved it.
They were just obsessed. There's that story about Laszlo finding Sophia playing chess in the middle of the night. He's telling her, Sophia, leave the pieces alone. Go to bed.
And she says, Daddy, they won't leave me alone.
That one line just says it all, doesn't it?
Mm.
They grew up in a culture, a tiny little culture in their own home, where an obsession with chess was completely normal. It was praised.
It was the highest good. And that really brings us to the core lesson here. The habits that are normal in your culture are the most attractive behaviors you'll find. They're the easiest ones to pick up.
Which makes perfect sense when you think about it from like an evolutionary perspective. We're herd animals, fundamentally.
We are. Our deepest, most primal desire is to belong, to fit in.
Because being cast out of the tribe, that was a death sentence for our ancestors.
It was literally a death sentence. The lone wolf dies, but the pack survives. That impulse to conform, to collaborate. It's not a weakness, it's a survival mechanism that's still running our modern lives, mostly under the radar.
So as kids, we're not really choosing our first habits. We're just imitating. We're following a script that's handed to us.
That's a great way to put it. It's a script from our family, our friends, our society. And each of these groups has these invisible rules.
Invisible rules, like what?
Oh, when you should get married, how much you should spend on a birthday gift, how you should dress for work. We just absorb them without even thinking.
We just internalize them. They become the default settings for how we operate.
And this isn't some new idea. I mean, the philosopher Montaigne wrote about this centuries ago. He said, the customs and practices of life and society sweep us along. We're just wired to go with the flow.
So behaviors become attractive because they help us fit in. And we can actually break this down, right? There are, 3 main groups we tend to imitate?
Yep, the 3 big ones are the close, the many, and the powerful.
Okay, let's start with the close. That's about proximity, I assume.
Exactly, your social environment. We just soak up the habits of the people we spend the most time with. You might find yourself arguing like your parents, or you pick up the way your best friend flirts, or how your coworkers manage their time.
It's totally unconscious. You just absorb it. Like learning to double-check if the door is locked because your partner always does it. We're social sponges.
We are. And the data on this is, frankly, mind-blowing. There was this huge study. It tracked 12,000 people for over 30 years.
Okay.
And it found that a person's chances of becoming obese shot up by 57% if they had a friend who became obese.
57%. That is just staggering. That's invisible peer pressure made visible.
It is. But it works both ways, which is the hopeful part. The same data showed that if one partner in a relationship lost weight, the other one would slim down too about a third of the time. Proximity matters.
It reminds me of that story about the robotics class at MIT.
Hmm.
I think it was Mike Massimino's class, the astronaut.
Oh, yeah, I got that one.
There were only 10 students in this tiny class, and
Yeah.
4 of them ended up becoming astronauts.
It's just the environment lifts everyone up. A high-achieving culture creates high-achieving people. There's even a finding that your best friend's IQ at age 11 or 12 is a predictor for your IQ at 15.
Wow. So it's not just your choices, it's actually shaping your cognitive development.
Yeah.
That's huge.
It is.
Okay, so that's the close. What about the second group, the many? This is about the tribe, about conformity.
Right. And this is where the pressure to fit in becomes almost impossible to resist. You have to think back to those Solomon Asch conformity experiments in the 1950s.
The line tests, right?
The line tests. So the setup was simple. You're in a room with a bunch of other people who are secretly actors. You're shown a card with 1 line on it, and then another card with 3 lines, A, B, and C. You just have to say which of the 3 matches the first one.
And the answer is always super obvious.
Completely obvious. But then after a few rounds, all the actors start picking the wrong line, intentionally. They all say A when the answer is clearly C.
And the poor subject just sits there, completely confused, doubting their own eyes.
And here's the kicker. Nearly 75% of the subjects eventually went along with the group's wrong answer at least once.
75%. Even when they knew it was wrong.
Even when they knew. The pressure to just go along with the crowd is tremendous. It tells you something really profound. Most days, we would rather be wrong with the crowd than be right by ourselves.
And that desire to blend in can actively work against our own best interests.
Absolutely. There's a great example with chimpanzees. A chimp learns a new, much better way to crack nuts, but then it moves to a new group that uses an older, less effective method.
And what happens?
It stops using the better method. It actively chooses the less efficient way just to fit in with the new group.
That's a powerful lesson. Trying to run against the grain of your own tribe, your own culture, takes so much extra energy. It makes a new habit feel so much harder than it needs to be.
It does. Which brings us to the final group, imitating the powerful.
People with status.
People with status, prestige, respect. We are fundamentally drawn to behaviors that earn us approval and admiration.
Because historically, more status meant more resources, a better chance of survival.
Right. So we're hardwired to pursue it. We want the titles, partner, director, whatever. We see someone at the gym doing some advanced move and we think, I want to be able to do that. We see a successful entrepreneur and we want to emulate them.
We copy the habits of effective people because we want the success and the status that they have. You see it everywhere. Replicating a competitor's marketing, borrowing a writer's style, mimicking your boss's confidence.
It's a blueprint, but it also works in reverse. We are powerfully motivated to avoid behaviors that would lower our status.
Ah, like mowing the lawn because you don't want to be that neighbor?
Exactly, or tidying up the house before your mother-in-law visits. We're constantly asking, subconsciously, what will other people think of me? And we adjust our behavior based on the answer.
Okay, so this all paints a very clear picture of how powerful our social world is. So let's bring it back to the person listening. How can you actually use this? What's the practical strategy here?
You have to rig the game in your favor. The single most effective thing you can do to build better habits is to join a culture where, 1, your desired behavior is the normal behavior,
Right.
and 2, and this is key, you already have something else in common with the group.
That shared identity piece, that's so important. It lowers the barrier to entry.
It removes all the friction. Take a company like Nerd Fitness. Their whole model is helping people who identify as nerds or misfits to get healthy. Maybe you feel intimidated by a typical gym.
Yeah, you feel like you don't belong.
Exactly. But if you join a group where everyone loves Star Wars just as much as you do, suddenly going to the gym or changing your diet feels like something people like us do. It becomes attractive.
It changes the identity from a lonely personal quest, I am a reader, into a shared one. We are a book club.
And that shared identity sustains you. It provides accountability and friendship. It's why staying part of a group after you hit a goal is so critical to making a habit stick long term. Your identity is reinforced.
So really, if you're struggling with a habit, maybe the first question isn't, how can I get more willpower?
No, the question should be, is my current environment making this easy or making this hard? Your culture sets your expectation for what is normal.
And that's the real work, isn't it? It takes conscious effort to override our default setting, which is just to conform.
It really does. I mean, think about the effort it takes to be right by yourself, to be the only one at the table ordering a salad while everyone else gets pizza. It's exhausting.
Compared to the ease of just being wrong with the crowd,
Yeah.
or at least going along with the crowd.
Exactly.
So maybe a challenge for anyone listening is to just identify one area this week where your current group, your tribe, is making a desired habit feel unattractive, and then find one small way to inject a new norm.
It doesn't have to be a huge life change. It could be joining an online forum, finding one friend to be an accountability partner. If you can just shift your environment, even slightly, that powerful need to conform suddenly starts working for you instead of against you. It can become your greatest ally.